Well, LeBron James, none too pleased with the latest piece of feedback offered up by Charles Barkley in what Chuck said on TNT. Is LeBron whining about needing more playmakers on his roster? Here's LeBron James last night to ESPN's Dave McMenamin. LeBron saying that he's a hater, talking about Chuck, what makes what he says credible. Because he's on TV, I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I'm tired of biting my tongue. There's a new sheriff in town. Well, today, Charles Barkley responded on ESPN 1000 in Chicago, and the Hall of Famer says that his criticism of LeBron has strictly been about basketball.
Well, I think when you don't like the message, you just kill the messenger. And that still does, some of those things he said about me are correct. That still does not make my message incorrect. I thought he was really whiny and complaining the last couple of weeks, talking about he got no help. I'm like, dude, you just won the championship. And it's the middle of the season, and you're just bashing your teammates. I think that wasn't right. You keep saying, we're not in it, we're not that good. I'm like, dude, y'all are the reigning defending NBA champs. And, I appreciate Tristan Thompson actually having the stones to say something, but he's the only one. The rest of them are just so intimidated. I mean, and anybody in that circle, they're so intimidated, but I'm not intimidated at all. I've said the guy is the best player in the world. I've said he's a wonderful guy. I'm not sure how that constitutes hating just because I say he's coming out bashing his teammates every day, and he's got Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving, they're defending champions. I thought it was inappropriate and for him to talk about it every single day about how bad his team was. And I think that's a fair criticism.
Well, here's what's been buzzing all day long. The man who put pen to paper and had America talking today and having LeBron James and Charles Barkley trending is Dave McMenamin of ESPN. He joins us here. I'm live in San Antonio. Dave's in his home office and his study looking like a professor as always. Dave, you've had a lot to talk about with LeBron lately. First and foremost, LeBron seems like he's angrier than usual. Is that an accurate read?
Jared, actually, at the end of this discussion we had in the post-game locker room in Dallas, he's like, I'm a happy guy. I'm good. My life is good right now. The point and the reason why he chose to speak up at this moment in time was, and Barkley did not really address this aspect of the comments when he spoke to ESPN Chicago today, was that by him criticizing LeBron's stance on the roster and saying, hey, LeBron, the roster is this way right now because you wanted guys like J.R. Smith and Tristan Thompson to get paid. That was, at the same time, delegitimizing the work that Rich Paul, who was the same agent for those two guys, and LeBron James did to get those contracts for his clients. And LeBron was tired of its similar vein to Phil Jackson criticizing his inner circle, the people around him, and not giving them their fair due because they've been in it just as long as he have, a decade and a half. And look at the stuff they're doing. They're doing great stuff in the community. They have a successful television show, game show on NBC. They have a scripted drama on Showtime. And they have a young up-and-coming agent in Rich Paul who just signed the number one pick in Ben Simmons and also has some successful players around the league right now. That's why he decided, in my estimation, to clap back at the time he did, because it wasn't just about him, it was about his inner circle.
All right, I want to get back to some more of what Charles had to say on ESPN 1000, but I want to respond to the point you made there in that LeBron wanting us to believe, and I'm not asking you for this answer, but what you believe from LeBron, that the NBA circle is to look at Rich Paul and LeBron James as mutually exclusive.
Well, yeah, and that's the perception that gets lost, right? Of course they're associated to one another. Rich Paul met LeBron James when he was in high school, and he was selling, throwback jerseys out of the trunk of his car. They've known each other that long, but he's grown, and he didn't get Eric Bledsoe that extension in Phoenix because of LeBron James. He didn't know things were going to work out to advise his client and J.R. Smith to hold out as long as he did. Same thing with Tristan Thompson. What if J.R. Smith breaks his thumb while he's working out in September? and they don't get the deal done.
Yeah, I like that. I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's a little naive, especially with Tristan Thompson, when there were only two teams that had cap space, Portland and Philadelphia, and Cleveland all of a sudden went all the way up to this number for Tristan, which I think is interesting, to make that the defense of this. But let's go back to more of what Charles Barkley had to say, because I think a lot of it was very interesting. And the fact that Charles said he never talks about two things on the radio today. Number one, never talks about players' personal lives, and never talks about firing someone. So why did LeBron feel the need to take this off the court or out of the studio?
Well, even if I had to go through a record of 14 years of comments from Charles Barkley, but even if he had just limited to the basketball court, that's a wealth of material that LeBron has felt coming down on his shoulders from the TNT studios, from Charles Barkley's mouth, aimed at him. And LeBron's been the face of the league now exclusively for about 8-9 years. There's been many opportunities for Charles Barkley to offer his critique. And now, of course, he has couched it. He claims that LeBron is one of the best players, certainly the best in the game today. But LeBron felt there was always that needling, there was always that tweak. And he was tired of it. And even if it was just relegated to the basketball court, this past summer, Charles Barkley told Bill Simmons that LeBron will never be a top 5 player in the NBA. I don't know if LeBron appreciated that. Back in 2010, when LeBron did the decision, Charles Barkley called it a punk move. That's not necessarily a basketball term if you want to keep it just to the basketball court.
Yeah, certainly fair. What did he mean by there's a new sheriff in town?
Well, LeBron was putting on a baseball cap when he said it. It was said with some self-awareness. It wasn't like he was turning into Clint Eastwood and doing a movie character line. It was like, I'm going to start doing things differently. For so long, I bit my tongue, and I was afraid to speak back against people, luminaries of the game, if you will, who had things to say about me. Well, if that occurs moving forward, I'll have something to say about them as well.
We'll see if Charles dresses up in full costume Thursday night on TNT with an answer for LeBron about the sheriff comment.